So much of innovation is about timing. And all of these things that we've just heard about are really possible because of some of the broader innovations that have actually been happening with respect to data, with respect to the ability to process that. So let's look at sort of where we are right in this transformation. The market's been shifting. This is something that we're seeing at Synthesio, but also more recently, or in my last role at Forrester, we saw this happening with innovation in business intelligence, in social listening, and voice of the customer, and CX and EX, even in foresight teams that brands have, where these pockets of data collecting, data processing are starting to merge. They're fusing into more integrated programs that Forrester, in fact, has branded as AI-enabled consumer intelligence. And so maybe you don't know it, but you're already on this path, right? Maybe you started with social monitoring. You've been looking at sort of tracking what people are saying about your products or your brand. Often these kind of classic social monitoring activities were owned by social marketing. Generally, they're reactive, but they're still foundational. So we've seen over the last few years that evolution to move from that reactive stance to more proactive with broader social listening, social intelligence, where we're starting to gather a broader set of data. We're starting to power decisions beyond just sort of classic marketing use cases. And then AICI arrives on the scene. And again, this is a term that Forrester coined a couple of years back. And it's important to sort of talk about the power of AICI because it enables everything we're talking about today. So we're talking about solutions, platforms that cut across both online and offline data. It's by definition multi-domain, it's multi-language. We're talking about delivering insights to new parts of the organization, right? So this isn't just for marketers, but it's rather delivering across the entire enterprise to product teams, to innovation teams. And it's maybe most profoundly about connecting humans and methods and technology. And so AICI is about bringing together platforms and services and methods to enable people to move sort of through this process of not just seeing what happened, but as we'll talk about, spotting what's emerging, looking for unmet needs, looking for these lead users, and even predicting what will happen next, which of course is how we get the timing right when we launch a product. So this is sort of the backdrop, right? There's a lot of market shifts that have been happening that enable people to do this today, which was not possible maybe a decade ago. So let's look at this more specifically in terms of the platforms, right? So innovation is also about scaling up. It's moving from these little hacks or pockets of innovation to doing that at scale, and even timing when it's the right time to do this at scale. And so if you think about the methods that Sandro mentioned, it requires really ways to put this AICI in action. And so our approach here really fuses both the methods and the expertise and the technology into a singular process, an end-to-end flow that combines the data sourcing, what we call the hybridization, right? The mashing up, the preparation of that, the cleaning of that data, the application of AI, and let's be clear that AICI is about AI, right? It's applying AI, machine learning for doing things like segmentation, clustering, prediction. That's the secret sauce that turns that data into insights. And then sort of blending it with specific use cases, in this case, for innovation, that then allows you to activate that data in the form of intelligence at scale. And so it's sort of the connecting the questions that you might have, right? As we've talked about, like what are the new ideas that can help my business grow? What are the top consumer needs, those unmet needs? Where are the white spaces? What are my competitors up to? Who are these lead users? Those are the questions that we ponder at the beginning of the process. Then we pull in the data, both big data, as we talk about, but also small data, right? The client data that you own, the survey data that you're collecting. That mashing up of big and small data is really important. Then it gets processed, then it gets packaged and applied. And that's really what we mean by an end-to-end process. And so this is not just about doing things more smartly, but also doing it at scale. And that's also what we talk about when we say a hybrid delivery model for innovation that blends the people, the process, and the technology. Lastly, let me just comment a bit on the data, because These digital maker spaces, if you will. If you think about the innovations happening in clubs or in meetups or associations around sporting activities or medical products or software, where these groups are gathering could pretty much be anywhere. And so we need to have the broadest set of data sources to make sure that we can spot them, we can find them, we can see what they're up to. And so really central to our approach is a set of data that's been curated and that's collected in a data hub. We apply, again, what we call hybridization and, of course, the data science. But we know that these lead users, these digital online makerspaces, could be expressing what they're working in a subreddit or in a forum or in a regional social network, or they might be writing articles about it in their trade publication or even in the popular media. They could be publishing some data that's collected by one of the market or industry data sources. They could be putting in reviews on existing products and saying, listen, we have a better approach. This is good, but this is a better solution. So we can't exclude any of these sources. And that's why it's really core to make sure that you partner with somebody that has this complete set of data as just an entry point into the conversation. The other thing, and not to get too promotional, is that this approach we think is both the right approach, but also it's been top rated by Forrester in their last evaluation of AI/CI platforms, where they looked at the top 9 solutions. There's some good solutions out there, but we were top rated for both data sources, domains and languages, and analytics and reporting. So we think this is pretty foundational and important to the conversation.